Number 8. Dartmouth Submarine. It was an ordinary day in Coronation Park in Dartmouth, New Hampshire. Children were laughing, dogs were chasing balls, and the sun was shining brightly. But little did anyone know that beneath their feet lay a hidden piece of history. A team of scientists from the University of Winchester, armed with radar technology, made an astonishing discovery. A Royal Navy submarine, specifically the HMS E-52, was buried right under the park. This is no ordinary submarine. The HMS E-52 is a relic from a bygone era, a silent witness to the world's turbulent past. But the surprises didn't stop there. The radar revealed another object, longer and narrower, believed to be a German torpedo boat. It seems that Coronation Park was harboring more secrets than anyone could have imagined. The masterminds behind this extraordinary find are Dr. Simon Roffey and Dr. David Ashby. Their discovery wasn't a mere stroke of luck, but the result of meticulous research and investigation. They were following the trail blazed by Naval Officer Lieutenant Tom Kemp, whose research pointed them in the right direction. But now that they've uncovered these hidden treasures, what's next for our intrepid explorers? They're planning to dig small boreholes in the park to identify a piece of equipment or metal that's unique to E-52. It's like an archaeological treasure hunt right in the middle of Dartmouth. If you ever happen to visit Coronation Park, take a moment to appreciate the history beneath your feet. Who knows what other secrets lie buried beneath its green expanses? As this story unfolds, we'll have to eagerly wait for more updates on this exciting find. And remember, history is everywhere. Sometimes you just need to look a little closer. Number 7. Tank revival in Belarus. In the vast marshlands of Belarus, a family with a passion for history and mechanics is on a mission. The Yakushevs, a dedicated and enthusiastic Belarusian family, has taken on the task of finding and restoring tanks from World War II. Now, you might be wondering, why are there tanks in the marshes? Well, during the war, many tanks were abandoned or lost in these marshes, and over time they were forgotten, with their stories sinking into the mud along with them. But not if the Yakushevs have anything to say about it. Armed with metal detectors, winches, and a whole lot of determination, they scour the marshes in search of these long-lost mechanical beasts. It's like an Easter egg hunt, but instead of chocolate eggs, they're looking for tons of steel. Once they find a tank, the real work begins. These aren't just rusty old machines, they're pieces of history. And each tank is carefully, meticulously restored to its former glory. Imagine that! A machine that once roared across battlefields, now brought back to life by the loving hands of this family. So the next time you're in Belarus and see a perfectly restored World War II tank rolling by, give a wave to the Yakushevs. They're not just restoring tanks, they're bringing history back to life. Number 6. The Lost Trucks of LRDG. During the Second World War, the British Army had a secret weapon up its sleeve, the Long Range Desert Group, or LRDG. This unit was tasked with deep penetration, covert reconnaissance patrols, and intelligence missions from behind Italian lines. They were the unsung heroes of the desert. In 2008, a team of historians from New Zealand, Switzerland, and Italy set off on an expedition to Libya. Their mission was to locate 3 LRDG trucks that had been abandoned in 1941 at Gebel Sharif in southern Libya. These trucks were left in the dust after a face-off with their Italian rivals, the Auto Sahariana. These trucks weren't ordinary vehicles. They were two-wheel drives chosen for their lightness and fuel efficiency. They were equipped with larger radiators and condensers to conserve water and prevent engine seizures. They also boasted special low-pressure desert tires and improvised suspension systems for optimal performance in harsh desert conditions. However, even these desert warriors had an Achilles heel. During a move from Siwa to Kufra across the Egyptian Sand Sea in April of 1941, one truck was lost due to a broken steering mechanism. The discovery of these long-lost vehicles is like unearthing a time capsule. It offers a captivating peek into the past and highlights the daring operations carried out by the LRDG during World War II. So here's to those intrepid souls who brave the unknown in their trusty desert chariots. Number 5. American World War II planes. In a remarkable discovery, 3 American aircraft from World War II that had been missing for decades were found in the Pacific Ocean. The recovery operation discovered pieces of long-lost planes at the bottom of Truk Lagoon in Chuuk State, which is part of the Federated States of Micronesia. The mission to find these planes was led by scientists and volunteers with Project Recover, a partnership between researchers at the University of Delaware, the Scripps Institution of Oceanography at the University of California, San Diego, and the Bent Prop Project. This group is dedicated to finding World War II service members missing in action in the South Pacific. The 3 planes, 2 Dauntless dive bombers and 1 Avenger torpedo bomber, were launched from the American aircraft carriers USS Enterprise and USS Intrepid during Operation Hailstone. This operation was a decisive U.S. victory, where hundreds of American aircraft launched from carriers on February 17, 1944. Pummeling a Japanese naval base in Truk Lagoon. And when the smoke from the 2-day battle cleared, more than 250 Japanese aircraft and nearly 50 ships were destroyed. However, 30 American planes and 23 pilots and crew members were also lost. Despite being a well-liked diving area, the 3 planes that were recovered weren't discovered until 2019. The discovery of these planes not only provides a glimpse into our past, but also serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made during those times. It's a true testament to the dedication and hard work of the teams involved in such recovery missions. Number 4. The USS Albakor. The USS Albakor, a U.S. Navy submarine, was on its 11th war patrol in November of 1944 when it vanished off the coast of northern Japan. It was a devastating loss, as the Albakor was one of the Navy's most accomplished submarines, having sunk 10 enemy ships during its service. The submarine and its brave crew were believed to have met their end after striking a mine. For nearly 8 decades, the fate of the USS Albakor remained a mystery. The ocean kept it secret, and the submarine was lost in the depths. But that didn't deter a dedicated team of explorers from embarking on a mission to solve this maritime mystery in 2023. Armed with autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, and a determination to uncover the truth, they scoured the ocean floor off the coast of northern Japan. And their perseverance paid off when they found the long-lost USS Albakor. The discovery was later confirmed by the U.S. Navy's Naval History and Heritage Command. The Albakor was found resting off the coast of Hokkaido, Japan's northernmost island. This was exactly where the Navy suspected she'd been lost all those years ago. The discovery of the USS Albakor highlights the bravery and sacrifice of those who serve in our armed forces. It also sheds light on human curiosity and our unending quest for knowledge. The story of the USS Albakor continues to inspire us all, reminding us that even in the depths of despair, there's always hope for discovery and understanding. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video so far, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get back into it. With number 3, 5 sunken submarines. Tim Taylor, an ocean explorer, has made a significant contribution to the field of underwater archaeology by locating 5 submarines that sank during World War II. His discoveries have brought closure to the families of the sailors who perished on these submarines. One notable discovery was the USS R-12, which sank off the Florida Keys during a training exercise in 1943, claiming the lives of 42 men. Among them was Frederick Edward Cashel, whose daughter, Helen Cashel Baldwin, had been seeking information about her father's fate for many years. In 2011, Helen stumbled upon a website claiming that the R-12 had been located. The site was created by Tim Taylor, with the intention of reaching out to the relatives of those who'd been aboard the sunken submarine. Helen and her siblings joined Taylor and his wife, Christine Dennison, who's also an explorer, on a journey into the Atlantic. They held a memorial service above the resting place of the R-12, casting 42 roses into the water in remembrance of the men who lost their lives. In total, Taylor's team has located 7 Navy submarines, 5 of which were lost during World War II. And in recognition of his significant contributions, Taylor was awarded the Navy Distinguished Public Service Award, the highest civilian honor bestowed by the Navy. Number 2. Libyan Desert's Silent Witnesses. In the Libyan Desert, a silent custodian of history has become an unexpected sanctuary for World War II relics. The desert's extreme conditions have inadvertently created a protective environment, preserving these artifacts from the ravages of time. The intense heat, minimal humidity, and infrequent rainfall have inhibited rust and corrosion, allowing these historical remnants to remain remarkably intact. In the early 1940s, North Africa was a crucial theater of war for the Axis and Allied forces. And today, the Libyan desert continues to bear witness to this tumultuous period, with remnants of British, German, Italian, and American aircraft and armored vehicles scattered across its vast expanse. These war relics, seemingly untouched since their abandonment or crash over 70 years ago, now offer a glimpse into the past. Among the preserved artifacts are various military vehicles. The M4A2 Sherman tank, though in poor condition due to scavenging and decayed rubber components, stands as a stark reminder of the harsh realities of war. In contrast, other relics like the Italian M13 mini-tank turrets found in Calancho Sandsea and the M3 Stuart light tank are surprisingly well preserved. These silent witnesses to history serve as a unique open-air museum, offering a peek into the past that's both fascinating and sobering. Their survival in the harsh desert environment is a testament to the durability of these machines and the preserving power of the desert conditions. Each artifact tells a story of courage, resilience, and the unstoppable human spirit that defined this era. And at number 1, Tragedy Beneath the Waves. In the summer of 2020, a tragic incident unfolded off the coast of California that shook the U.S. military community. A Marine Corps amphibious assault vehicle carrying 15 Marines and 1 Navy sailor sank during a routine training exercise. This wasn't a combat situation, but a standard procedure that turned unexpectedly deadly. The vehicle was found off the coast of San Clemente Island, a location known for its use as a training site for the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps. The island, owned and operated by the U.S. Navy, is the southernmost of the Channel Islands and has been used for military training and research for decades. The incident led to a significant loss of life. 1 Marine was pronounced dead shortly after the incident, while 8 others, including 7 Marines and 1 sailor, were initially reported missing. After an extensive search and rescue operation, these 8 servicemen were also pronounced dead. The loss of these young lives, ranging in age from 19 to 23, sent shockwaves through the military community and the nation. The vehicle was located at a depth of approximately 385 feet, nearly a mile from San Clemente Island. The recovery operation was a complex and delicate process. The U.S. Navy's Undersea Rescue Command was instrumental in this operation. They used an underwater remotely operated video system to identify human remains. The recovery of the remains and the vehicle was expedited to provide closure to the families of the deceased and to allow for a thorough investigation. The incident showcases the risks that servicemen and women face, even during routine training exercises. It also highlights the importance of ongoing efforts to improve the safety of military operations. The incident led to a period of mourning within the Marine Corps and the wider military community. It also prompted a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the sinking, with the aim of preventing similar incidents in the future. The aftermath of the accident saw an outpouring of grief and support from across the country. The bravery and dedication of these servicemen who risked their lives in service of their country were honored and remembered. The incident served as a sobering reminder of the sacrifices made by those in the military and underscored the importance of ensuring the safety of our servicemen and women. The investigation into the accident aimed to uncover the causes and implement measures to prevent such tragedies from happening again. The memory of the fallen continues to be a driving force in these efforts.
The Kursk. The Kursk submarine incident was one of the worst naval disasters in Russian history. It happened on August 12, 2000, when the nuclear-powered submarine K-141 Kursk sank in the Barents Sea during a routine naval exercise. All 118 crew members on board were killed. The Kursk was a Project 949A anti-Oscar II class submarine, originally designed to carry 24 long-range cruise missiles and 18 torpedoes. It was taking part in the first major Russian naval exercise in over a decade, involving over 30 different ships and submarines. The Kursk was supposed to fire 2 dummy torpedoes at a target, but something strange went wrong. At 11:29 a.m., an unstable weld in the casing of a 65 to 76 kit practice torpedo leaked high-test peroxide HTP inside the torpedo tube. This caused a chemical reaction that ignited a fire and triggered an explosion. The blast blew off the tube doors, damaged the control room, and killed the crew in the first 2 compartments. Just 2 minutes and 15 seconds later, a second, much larger explosion went off, caused by the detonation of 5 to 7 warheads of other torpedoes in the same compartment. The force of the explosion was equivalent to a few tons of TNT and was picked up by seismographs as far away as Alaska. The explosion tore a massive hole in the hull, collapsed the bulkheads and decks between the first 4 compartments, and killed everyone that was still alive in the forward section of the sub. The Kursk then sank to the bottom of the sea at 354 feet. The nuclear reactors shut down safely, and the remaining crew members in the rear compartments tried to survive and send signals out for help. But the Russian Navy didn't realize that an accident took place until 6 hours later, and didn't find the submarine until 16 hours after the disaster. The rescue efforts were delayed by bad weather, faulty equipment, and bureaucracy. The Russian Navy also refused to accept help from other countries like Norway and Britain until it was too late. When British and Norwegian divers finally reached the sub on August 21st, they found no remaining survivors. The escape hatch in the 9th compartment was flooded, and the crew suffocated from carbon dioxide poisoning. The Kursk submarine disaster exposed the poor state of the Russian Navy and the lack of accountability in the Russian government. President Vladimir Putin was heavily criticized for his slow response as he continued his vacation at a resort in Sochi and didn't visit the scene of the tragedy until August 23rd. The official investigation blamed the accident on the faulty torpedo. But a few experts and relatives of the victims argued over this conclusion and suggested that the Kursk may have collided with a foreign submarine or been hit by accidental friendly fire. The Kursk was eventually raised from the seabed in October 2001, and the remains of the crew were recovered and buried with full military honors. The Kursk submarine disaster remains a painful and controversial episode in Russia's history. Ocean Gate's Titan. Ocean Gate's Titan submersible was a feat of modern engineering, designed to withstand the pressures of the deep sea and offer a window into a world only a few humans have witnessed. On June 26, 2023, the Titan set off on a mission to see the wreck of the Titanic at a depth of 3,800 meters below sea level. The Titanic, an infamous symbol of human tragedy, has been on the ocean floor for over a century. The Titan's mission was not just one of exploration, but also of remembrance, connecting the present with a pivotal moment in our history. As the Titan started its descent, the crew of 5 were excited and anxious. The deep sea is a realm of perpetual darkness, pressure, and eerie silence, but it also holds the promise of discovery. Sadly, disaster struck. the Titan imploded under the pressure of the deep sea, instantly killing all 5 passengers. The news of the catastrophe sent shockwaves through the world, a grim reminder of the risks involved in pushing the boundaries of exploration. The loss of the Titan and its crew is a tragic reminder of the power of the sea. It underscores the bravery of those who venture into the unknown and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. As investigations into the disaster continue on, the hope is that lessons will be learned to stop such a tragedy from ever happening again. In the wake of the tragedy, the world mourns the loss of the brave explorers. Their sacrifice is a sobering testament to the human spirit's unyielding curiosity and our pursuit to explore uncharted frontiers. The SS Kianga. The SS Kianga was a Chinese steamer that burst into flames and sank on December 4, 1948, killing thousands of people. It was one of the deadliest maritime disasters in human history, but the exact cause and death toll is unclear. The SS Kianga was built in 1920 by the Mitsubishi Shipbuilding Company in Japan. It was originally named the SS Kashiwara Maru and used as both a passenger and cargo ship. In 1945, after World War II, the ship was seized by the Chinese nationalist government. That's when it was renamed the SS Kianga. In 1948, China was in the middle of a civil war between the nationalists and the communists. Millions of refugees fled from communist-controlled areas to the nationalist-held cities like Shanghai. The SS Kianga was one of the ships that transported these refugees. On December 3, 1948, the SS Kianga left Shanghai headed for Ningbo. The ship was severely overcrowded, carrying over 6,000 passengers, while its official capacity was just 1,186. Many of the passengers were women and children, and some were even wounded soldiers. The ship also carried cargo like rice, cotton, and coal. The next day, around 5:15 a.m., the SS Kianga was sailing around the mouth of the Huangpu River, about 50 miles south of Shanghai. Suddenly, a huge explosion tore through the ship, tearing it apart. The blast was so powerful that it shattered windows and shook buildings. The ship sank quickly, taking most of the passengers with it. The water was cold and polluted, and many of the survivors had hypothermia and infections. The rescue efforts were delayed by a lack of boats, equipment, and coordination. The exact cause of the explosion is unknown, but the most likely explanation is that the ship hit a mine left over from World War II. The Huangpu River was heavily mined by the Japanese during the war, and many of the mines were never cleared after the conflict. Some of the mines were magnetic and could be triggered by the ship's metal hull. Another possibility is that the explosion was caused by sabotage or a fire erupting in the cargo. The death toll of the SS Kianga disaster is also very uncertain, since there was no official passenger list or registration. The estimates range anywhere from 2,750 to 3,920, based on the number of tickets sold, the number of survivors, and the number of bodies found. Some sources claim that the death toll could total as high as 5,000 or even 10,000, but these figures are not fully supported by evidence. The SS Kianga disaster remains one of the worst tragedies in maritime history as a consequence of war and chaos. What's the worst maritime disaster you've ever heard of? Let us know in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the video. The Indian Ocean Tsunami. The 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami was one of the most devastating natural disasters ever, claiming over 230,000 lives and displacing millions of people in 14 different countries. It was caused by an undersea earthquake off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia on December 26, 2004. The earthquake had a large magnitude of 9.1, making it the third largest ever recorded. It released energy amounts equivalent to 23,000 Hiroshima-type atomic bombs and even shifted the Earth's mass, changing the planet's overall rotation. The earthquake generated a series of colossal waves that traveled across the Indian Ocean at 500 miles per hour, about the speed of a jet plane. The first tsunami waves hit the shores of Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, and other countries within minutes of the quake. Many people were unaware of the amount of danger they were in and didn't have time to escape to higher ground. The waves swept away everything in their path. They carried debris, bodies, and salt water inland, contaminating freshwater sources and farmland around the world. The tsunami cause severe damage to the environment and the economies of the affected regions. It either killed or injured millions of animals, including endangered species like the Sumatran tiger and the leatherback turtle. It also damaged coral reefs, mangroves, and coastal forests that provide crucial habitat and protection for marine life. The tsunami destroyed fishing boats, ports, and markets, affecting the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on the ocean for food and income. The total losses from the tsunami were estimated at $10 billion. The tsunami also triggered a global humanitarian response, with countries and organizations around the world rushing in to provide aid and assistance to survivors. The United Nations coordinated the largest relief operation in recorded history, involving over 40 countries and hundreds of different agencies. The relief efforts included delivering food, water, medicine, shelter, and clothing to the affected areas, as well as restoring basic services like electricity, communication, and transportation. The relief efforts also focused on helping survivors cope with the trauma and grief the disaster put them through, as well as preventing the spread of diseases and protecting the human rights of vulnerable groups. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was a tragic event that showed the sheer power and unpredictability of nature, as well as the resilience and solidarity of the human spirit. It also highlighted the need for better disaster preparedness and early warning systems, and the importance of environmental conservation. The tsunami taught us valuable lessons that can help us reduce the impact of future disasters. Sinking of the White Star. The sinking of the White Star was a tragic event that changed the course of English history. It went down on the night of November 25, 1120, when a ship with several nobles, including the heir to the throne, William Adelin, sank in the English Channel of the Normandy coast. Only one person survived the ordeal, out of over 300 on board. The ship, named the White Ship, La Blanche Nef in French, was a new and fast vessel. It was captained by Thomas Fitzstephen, whose father served William the Conqueror back in 1066. Thomas offered his ship to King Henry I of England, who had just finished up a meeting with his barons in Normandy. But the king declined and decided to take another ship. But he allowed his son William and many others in his circle to take the White Ship, including several of his illegitimate children, his niece, and a few earls and knights. According to the chronicler Orderich Vitalis, the passengers and crew of the White Ship were in a happy mood and drank a lot of wine before setting sail. They also wanted to pass the King's ship and reach England first. But as the ship sailed in the dark, it hit a submerged rock and capsized. William Adelin managed to get himself into a small boat, but he turned back to rescue his half-sister Matilda, who was crying out for help. His boat was then swamped by others trying to save themselves, and he drowned with them. The only survivor was a butcher from Rouen, who clung onto the rock until he was rescued a day later. The news of the disaster was devastating for King Henry, who apparently never smiled again. He had no other legitimate son for the throne, and his only legitimate daughter Matilda was married to the Holy Roman Emperor. He tried to secure his line of succession by making his barons swear to support Matilda. But after his death in 1135, his nephew Stephen of Blois took the throne, leading to a period of civil war referred to as the Anarchy. The loss of the Spanish Armada. The Spanish Armada was a huge naval fleet sent by King Philip II of Spain in 1588 to invade England and dethrone Queen Elizabeth I. The Armada had 130 ships, 8,000 sailors, and 18,000 soldiers, and was supported by a large army in the Spanish Netherlands led by the Duke of Parma. But the Armada faced many challenges that ultimately led to its defeat and destruction. One of the main reasons for the failure of the Armada was the superior strategy and tactics employed by the English Navy. English ships were faster, maneuverable, and better armed than the Spanish galleons, which were designed for close combat and boarding purposes. The English also had the advantage of fighting in their home waters, wind direction, and fire ships. The fire ships were burning vessels that the English sent into the anchored Spanish fleet at Calais, causing widespread panic and disorder among the Spanish ships. The English then attacked the scattered and vulnerable Armada at the Battle of Gravelines, inflicting heavy damage and casualties. Another reason for the Armada disaster was the poor communication and coordination between the Spanish forces. The Armada was supposed to escort the Army of Parma across the English Channel, but the two forces never actually met. Because of this, the Spanish had no reliable way of communicating with each other, and they didn't have a clear plan or a common commander. The English, on the other hand, had a unified command under Lord Howard and Sir Francis Drake, and they used beacons and flags to signal both their movements and intentions. A final reason for the destruction of the Armada was the harsh weather and long journey back to Spain. After the defeated Gravelines, the Armada had no choice but to sail north around Scotland and Ireland, avoiding the English Channel entirely. The Armada faced many storms, shipwrecks, starvation, disease, and attacks by pirates and enemies on their way. Many boats and men were lost or captured, and only about half of the original fleet made it back to Spain. The loss of the Armada was a huge blow to the prestige and power of Spain, and a great boost to the morale and confidence of England.
Typhoon Class. Launched in 1980, the Dmitry Donskoy was a massive Cold War-era Russian submarine. It was a nuclear-powered ballistic missile sub that was part of Project 941, or Akula, earning the nickname Typhoon by NATO. Russia began developing these Typhoon-class submarines during the 1960s and 1970s. Some were reportedly equipped with a sauna and a swimming pool. The Dmitry Donskoy was truly massive, measuring in at 474 feet, 175 meters long, which is nearly the length of 2 American football fields. These submarines were the behemoths of the seas and were equipped with 20 missile launchers. What made Typhoon-class submarines like this one dangerous was the fact that they were known for being silent vessels with the capability of deadly surprise attacks. Also, these submarines had an ice-breaking system, so they could cross the Arctic. The Dmitry Donskoy was decommissioned in 2023. Boret Class. The replacement for Russia's Typhoon-class submarines is the Boret Class. These subs are not quite as big as their big brothers, but they're still very large, measuring at some 525 feet, 160 meters. The Boret Class submarines were deployed in 2012, with a crew of 130 officers and enlisted men. The maximum diving depth of the Boret Class is 1,400 feet, 427 meters. These submarines are capable of underwater missions that go for 90 to 100 days. While underwater, the Boret Class can reach speeds of 31 miles per hour. However, the Boret Class submarine program was a major headache from the start. The Yuri Dolgoruki was the first ship of the fleet, with construction beginning in 1996. Funding problems and other delays slowed down the process, but the Yuri Dolgoruki joined the Russian fleet in 2012. It's reported that the Yuri Dolgoruki alone cost Russia $1 billion. What makes this submarine special is the fact that it is less detectable to sonar than the Typhoon Class, but they lack the stealth of Typhoon Class and Ohio Class submarines. These Boret Class submarines have the capability to carry 16 missiles. One of the delays in the construction of the Yuri Dolgoruki was making sure the submarine could hold a new type of ballistic missile that has the ability to hit targets some 5,900 miles, 9,495 kilometers away. Unbelievable! Delta Class. Considered the cornerstone of their fleet, the Delta Class submarines have served the Russian military since the 1970s. They've ranged in classes 1 to 4, with 4 being the most current submarines. These submarines are roughly 547 feet, 167 meters long, and have been referred to as the Delphin or Dolphin Class Project 667 submarines, which were built between 1981 and 1992. The Delta Class 4 are capable of being underwater for 80 days, and these subs are equipped with 16 ballistic missiles. Akula Class. The Akula Class is part of Russia's fleet of attack submarines. In Russia, they're referred to as the Project 971 Shuka B Class. They are 360 to 370 feet, 110 to 113 meters in length, and are armed with surface-to-air missiles. The Akula 1s were first deployed in 1986, and the Akula 3s were commissioned in 2001. These submarines can be underwater for 100 days, and the cruise missiles can be armed with warheads. The missiles have the ability to hit targets 1,800 miles, or 2,897 meters away. What's impressive about the Akula class is that these submarines can hit 37 to 41 miles per hour, which is very impressive. In 2012, Russia loaned one of their Akula class submarines to India for a period of 10 years. Ohio Class. For nearly 50 years, the largest class of submarines for the United States Navy has been the Ohio Class, built between the 1970s and 1990s. These submarines are capable of carrying 24 Trident II nuclear missiles, which is the largest capacity for any submarine. Ohio-class submarines are 560 feet, 171 meters in length, and can hold a crew of 155 officers and enlisted men. The Ohio-class submarines are named after the USS Ohio, the first-of-its-kind submarine that was launched in 1979. Ohio-class submarines can spend some 77 days underwater, and they can reach a depth of 1,000 feet, 305 meters. These submarines go 25 miles per hour, 40 kilometers per hour while submerged. After long missions, Ohio-class submarines will port for 35 days at Kings Bays, Georgia, and Bangor, Washington. Like the Typhoon Class Russian submarines, the Ohio-class submarines are just as stealthy and can strike just as quickly when called to action. Los Angeles Class. The backbone of the U.S. submarine fleet has been the Los Angeles Class, or LA Class submarines. Currently, there are 36 of this class in service, and they are nuclear-powered. These submarines measure some 360 feet, or 110 meters, and can hold a crew of 143 officers and enlisted men. They have a diving depth of 800 feet, 244 meters. These are some of the quickest submarines in the U.S. fleet, as they are equipped with Tomahawk missiles. These submarines can reach a maximum speed of 28 miles per hour, 45 kilometers per hour. Los Angeles-class submarines can deploy Special Forces units, and they're capable of laying mines. These submarines are also capable of operating under the ice. While the Los Angeles class has been an exceptional class, these submarines are set to be replaced by the Virginia class during the 2030s. Seawolf Class. The Seawolf Class are known for being well-armed and more quiet than their Los Angeles class counterparts. There are currently 3 of this class in the U.S. naval fleet. Like the Los Angeles class, they're armed with Tomahawk missiles. Seawolf class submarines were commissioned in 1997. They measure 350 to 450 feet, 107 to 137 meters, and can hold a crew of 140 officers and enlisted men. These submarines were developed to seek out and hunt enemy submarines. Like the Los Angeles class, the Seawolf class was designed for search and destroy missions, plus intelligence missions for the U.S. Navy. Virginia Class. The newest member of the U.S. Navy's submarine class is the Virginia Class. They are 377 to 460 feet, 115 to 140 meters in length, and can hold a crew of 120 officers and enlisted men. Like the Los Angeles class and Seawolf classes, they are armed with Tomahawk missiles. However, there are plans to incorporate a high-energy laser weapon. This class is currently the most state-of-the-art for the attack submarines in the U.S. Navy. However, they are the most costly at $2.7 billion per submarine. Do you think you have what it takes to be a crew member of a submarine? Let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Vanguard Class, United Kingdom. At 491 feet, 150 meters in length, the Vanguard Class submarines are the backbone of the UK's strategic nuclear deterrent force. Currently, there are 4 in the Royal Navy. These submarines were built between 1985 and 1999. Their home port is Her Majesty's Naval Base Clyde, located some 25 miles, 40 kilometers from Glasgow, Scotland. The Vanguard class submarines have the ability to carry 192 warheads, like the Trident II D5 nuclear missiles, with a target range of 5,000 miles, 8,047 kilometers, When fired, the Trident II D5 missile will travel at an incredible 13,000 miles per hour, 20,921 kilometers per hour. These submarines have 16 missile tubes, and their sonar system is so good that they can detect ships over 50 miles, 80 kilometers away. The life of these submarines is 30 years. While these submarines have been stellar for the Royal Navy, they are eventually going to be scrapped and will be replaced by the Dreadnought class sometime in the 2030s. Le Triumphant Class, France. France's Navy has relied upon their Le Triomphant class submarines since 1997. Measuring in at some 453 feet, 138 meters, and can carry a crew of 111 officers and enlisted men. The nuclear capabilities for this class of submarine includes 16 ballistic nuclear missiles and a thermonuclear warhead that carries 6 multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, MIRVs. These missiles could hit targets in Russia and China. Additional weapons include anti-ship missiles and torpedoes. The Le Triomphant class submarines spend up to 60 days underwater, and their main port is Ile Lounge, Western Brittany. 4 Le Triomphant class of submarines are currently in operation. Ganclass China. China's largest submarine class is the Jin, and they measure some 449 feet in length. The Ganclass submarines are equipped with 6 ballistic missiles, and they can hit targets over 6,000 miles, 9,656 kilometers away. That means the Ganclass submarine can hit targets in the continental United States. These submarines were first tested in 2018. It is supposed to have been a quiet system and is considered by the Department of Defense as China's first credible sea-based nuclear deterrent. Collinsclass Australia. Measuring at 254 feet, 77 meters in length, the Collinsclass submarines are the top of the line for the Royal Australian Navy. They can carry a crew of 48 officers and enlisted men, and these submarines have the ability to go up to 590 feet, 180 meters underwater. These submarines are armed with missiles and can be armed with mines in lieu of torpedoes. Submarine Facts. We've reviewed some of the biggest submarines in the world. Now we would like to share with you some of the most interesting submarine facts in history. The first functioning submarine was the Turtle, and it was a one-man vessel used by American colonists against the British. It was deployed on September 6, 1776. The Turtle was an egg-shaped submarine made of carved oak. It was armed with a torpedo made from a keg of powder. However, the torpedo would be attached to an enemy ship's hull, and that's what happened when the Turtle attempted to use a torpedo against the HMS Eagle in New York Harbor in 1776. The Turtle failed on its first attempt, but was captured by the British on a second attempt. The USS Nautilus was the first nuclear-powered submarine, and was operational in late 1954. Did you know that the USS Nautilus was the first submarine to cross the Arctic Ocean? It took 3 attempts to achieve a trip under the Arctic ice cap. This was accomplished in 1958. The USS George Washington was the first submarine to be armed with nuclear weapons. It entered service in 1959, and it successfully fired 2 test missiles in 1960. The first submarine to fire a missile was the USS Kursk in 1947. Did you know that between 1963 and 1969, 3 U.S. submarines sank in the ocean? The USS Thresher sank near Cape Cod in 1963 following a failure of the piping system, which caused a loss of power. The Thresher sank and all 129 on board died. The USS Scorpion sank near the Azores, an island chain near Portugal, in 1968, claiming the lives of all 99 on board. The reason behind the sinking is still a mystery to this day. In 1969, the USS Guitaro sank while in a California shipyard. This cause was improper ballasting. The Russian K-222 was reportedly the fastest submarine in history. It reached speeds of 51 miles per hour underwater in 1970. The first submarine to sink a warship during wartime was the H.L. Hunley. This was a Confederate submarine that was used during the Civil War. It was February 17, 1864, when the H.L. Hunley was sent out following months of practice runs. Weather delays also slowed down the first mission of this Confederate submarine. However, under cover of darkness, the H.L. Hunley silently approached USS Housatonic, a U.S. military warship that was on blockade duty 4 miles off the entrance to Charleston Harbor in South Carolina. The H.L. Hunley was equipped with a torpedo packed with explosive black powder bolted to a 16-foot pole. The H.L. Hunley rammed into the USS Housatonic and detonated the torpedo. Both the H.L. Hunley and the USS Housatonic were damaged and both sank. The H.L. Hunley's wreckage was discovered some 100 years later. The deepest dive by a manned submarine occurred in 2019, when Victor Vescovo took his submarine some 35,849 feet, 10,927 meters, into the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean. His record was 36 feet, 11 meters more than what director James Cameron achieved in 2012. While the dive was successful, Vescovo was upset to discover a plastic bag and candy wrappers at the bottom of the ocean. It was also an incredibly dangerous attempt because of the darkness and pressure at that depth. CBS News reported in 2019 that the pressure was the equivalent of 50 jumbo jets piled on top of a person. Thanks for watching. Are there any ships or planes you'd like us to make a video about? Let us know down below in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.